Let's talk a bit about ONDS, ticker symbol ONDS. So this stock, they're doing software here for drones. So we have some drone systems here that they just sold for 14 million. And they're doing software for trains as well, this next generation hot IoT communications. And in normal English, this basically means that the front of the train can talk to the back of the train more reliable, and this makes long distance, long goods trains a bit more safer. So they have this, and they have the drones. That's some of the news regarding this company. Just looking at the website, we see a lot about invested capital, we see a lot about patents, but we don't really see a lot about the results in this case. And a lot of complex acronyms, yes indeed. Let's just talk about the numbers a little bit, and I will explain why this company is like a lottery ticket. Yeah, I think that's a good definition. Extremely difficult to know which way this company will go if you don't have deep understanding for drone systems and for trains here, and know that, all right, this protocol is something that's extremely hard to replace, and once it's in place, it runs for 5 years and they usually renew it, and it's just a reliable low-cost cash cow after that. Same for drone systems. I don't know how this industry works, but if you do, then you will have a leg up. But let me run you through the numbers for this company. It has had an increase recently, stock price, and this is because of the losses were reduced, but still, in terms of valuation, this company is a bit expensive. Remember, a 14 million contract, that's cool and all, but this company in total, the market cap is valued at 2.3 billion. So, yes, it's software, but price to sales, like, what are we talking here? Let's take a look at some of the numbers here in terms of just the income statement. We can see that it has been rapid growth on a quarterly basis, very rapid growth. What about on an annual basis? All right, doesn't look as good anymore. We saw a big revenue numbers. This is 15 million. All right, very small numbers. So this is in thousands, 15 million. How is this company a $2 billion company? I guess a lot of investments and a lot of belief in the future. Well, there's obviously huge execution risk. This is a software company with extremely little revenue right now. This is very much a lottery ticket, as stated earlier. When I glossed over the numbers before, what I really realized was, all right, operating expense, huge. Obviously, they are making money in terms of gross margin, but this gross margin is not as good as it should be in a software company. However, we even saw Palantir having a bit lower gross margin in the beginning, but that gross margin was not as low as this. That was, in the 60%. This is way worse. Let's take a look at on a quarterly basis. Yeah, so 10 million in revenue, cost 7.5. They get to keep 2.5. That's not the best gross margin. That's 25% for that quarter. That's quite awful, actually. And then in terms of operating expense, this is understandable. You have to pay the sales reps. Sales reps are expensive. Trust me, I'm a sales rep myself. And we see selling and general administrative indeed is the biggest part here of the operating expense. So selling, general, and administrative. Commission. If renewals are easy, they can get cheaper people to sit and do that, just renew the contracts. But getting those revenue numbers up there in the beginning is going to be expensive. So what we need to do for this company is take a look at the balance sheet, see if it's healthy or not. Let's just look at the latest quarter. All right, balance sheet is looking perfectly fine. They have a huge balance sheet. No, it's not huge, not compared to the market cap, but 550 million in assets and then 40 million in liabilities. So total debt here, not even 20 million in debts. Although we can see a bit worrying here on a quarterly basis, we can see rapid dilution in terms of shares issued, so they are selling shares. This is a red flag, but this ensures that in terms of the company continuing to operate and being alive, well, they have a lot of cash that they can burn, they can afford to continue to burn. Hopefully, they will become profitable one day, but just in terms of looking at the numbers, I have a hard time seeing how this company can generate good returns for investors going forward, given the current valuation of $2 billion for the entire company, and with these low revenues. They must execute massively on growth and just win huge defense contracts for this to pay out, which it could happen. It's a lottery ticket, but in terms of risk to reward, this is way too risky for me. Once again, balance sheet looking totally fine, but they are diluting shareholders, issuing new shares, and that's just going to make it harder and harder for stock price to get a big rise. The market cap is already huge, there's a lot of shares. It's gonna be a little less volatile with that many shares out, and just having a harder time to give huge returns. You get diluted. That's it. Doesn't matter what the stock price is. It's fantastic for the company now, obviously, that the stock price is a bit more expensive, but they diluted at lower levels as well. And as an investor, if you invest in this company, you run the risk that if the stock price drops on a bad quarter or something like this, well, then they're going to issue shares at a lower level. They need to bring in the same amount of capital, and they're going to issue way more shares then to get the money that they need. And your ownership in the company is just going to be less and less and less, and that's not a good position to be in. So this stock, way too risky for me. It's a small cap. It's larger than some companies that I looked at in the past, although revenue very low. And just by looking at the type of business that it is, it's quite clear that the hope here from investors is that they will land a massive defense contract. That would be a big boom for this company. I can't see any other reason that investors would want to pile into this company. But hey, that's just my opinion. And as always, hope you guys make a ton of money, whatever investments you decide to make. Take care now. Bye bye.